This is a new thing. Little weird. I've been building to this for probably about 16, 17 years.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alex Loyd, and I'm so honored to be part of the Flow Summit 2025. I think I was a part of the first one of these. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I've come to Europe, Germany, Switzerland, Austria so many times and always love it. So I'm honored to be a part of it again this year. All right, for a few minutes, what I want to share with you is the psychology of illness and disease. It's the number one cause of physical illness and disease, the number one cause of emotional, mental illness and disease. And I've never seen this taught anywhere else. It is going to be in my next book. But I have run it by a number of medical doctors, and every one of them, at least so far, has agreed that from a medical, biological perspective, this would be correct as the psychology number one source of physical, mental, emotional illness and disease. Okay? So I hope it gives you some information you haven't had before that benefits you in your life. And of course, I'd be kind of crazy to share this without a solution to it. So at the end, I'm going to offer you the solution. And you don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to pay anything. I'm happy to give it to you for free. Okay? All right, let's start. Let me bring my board out and start here. Okay? The number one thing related to all health issues, okay? Number one is you have one thing that can heal any health problem you have at any time, physical, mental, or emotional. It is miraculous. It is, unless you're actively on your deathbed, it can 180 you from illness and disease to health, happiness, mental and emotional joy and peace, etc. All right, so the number one thing about health, number one is your immune system is the one thing, not surgery, not a pill necessarily. I'm not saying there's not a time for those, there are. But there's one thing that can heal those every time. Every time. It's just not happening because of the way we're living. And that is your immune system. All right? Number two, there's one thing or one main thing that turns number one off. And that is called stress. And this is old news. You've all heard this for 30, 40, 50 years now. The Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, the United States government, as far as health goes, says that 90+% of illness and disease is directly related, you guessed it, to stress. Stanford Medical School, which goes back and forth with Harvard as the top school in the United States, and some would say the world, some would disagree, but they say, Stanford says, no, sorry to CDC, it's not 90%, it's about 95% of all illness and disease related to stress, okay? Now, that's old news like I just said, so don't turn this off yet, because I knew you would know that, but what's coming, I don't think you've ever heard, or at least I've never heard it presented anywhere else. So stress can turn your immune system off or down. And then number three, there's one thing that can turn your immune system back on. And I discovered that about 25 years ago, wrote a book about it that I thought would never do anything at all. I really wrote it more as a manual for my clients. Became a number one bestseller in Germany and Switzerland and Europe. #1 bestseller in 7 countries, top 10 bestseller in 22 others. Never would have imagined that in my wildest dreams, but it was a simple little intervention to heal stress, to re-elevate your immune system by bringing your stress down or eliminating it completely. All right? And that's what I'm going to give you for free at the end of this. And by the way, in the last, I believe, 10 years, there's been 26 university independent double-blind studies done on that intervention that I discovered. All 26 found that it worked significantly to dramatically. 2 found that it worked better than the most popular counseling, therapy, and life coaching at a fraction of the cost and at a fraction of the time. So that's what I'm going to give you at the end, just a preview. But #1, your immune system can heal any problem you have unless it's suppressed by stress. And if it is, the only way you're going to get that healing is to reduce the stress and re-elevate your immune system. All right? All right, let me flip the board over. Whoop, sorry. Need to flip it around, not over. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's what we just talked about. #1, immune system. #2, stress. #3, you have to elevate your immune system again by lowering the stress. Okay, now let's go to the physical. Okay, no, let's don't. Let's go to the non-physical. All right, so that is the #1 thing on all of health. Now let's look at mental, emotional. Okay, so this is you. I'm a terrible drawer, sorry about that, but this is you. And an event happens in your life. It can be anything. It can be a phone call. It can be something you think of, an interaction you have. You can fall down and skin your knee and it hurts. It can be anything, all right? So an event occurs. It comes into you through your 5 senses, okay? In a microsecond, the information that comes into your 5 senses from that event is compared and filtered through every memory that you have, including memories passed down from your ancestry from over 100 years ago. And that is documented, by the way. I'm not just saying that. That's documented with double-blind studies, that those memories are passed down from generation to generation in the sperm, in the RNA. They're going to find that it's also in the egg. They just haven't done that study yet. But the others have been done and have confirmed it's passed down. And you have negative memories, especially trauma memories, are the ones passed down the most, that you don't even know you have. They're from 100 years or more back in your ancestry. You may not even be aware it ever happened to anybody, but it's inside you as if it happened to you, as well as the memories you can't remember from early in life, and then also the ones you can remember from yesterday and the years of your life, all right? So an event happens, it comes in, it's immediately compared to all these events, and your unconscious mind makes a microsecond determination that what is happening out here is either okay and safe, or it's not okay and dangerous, or it's really good, okay? And those are kind of broad, but it'll typically fall into one of those 3. The red, as I've illustrated them, the red memories would be hot memories, meaning they're giving off danger. These are the memories that say we're not okay, we're in danger, it's not safe. The black or gray ones would be neutral, and those don't cause a problem. And then the green ones are positive, and those don't cause a problem. So the green and gray ones, we're not worried about. They're not causing any trouble. Leave them alone. But the red ones cause the problem. Because here's what happens. When the information comes in from the event in your life, it comes into your brain and nervous system, is filtered through these. If the message from your memory banks and your unconscious mind is, oh, this is good, then the hypothalamus in your brain flips the success switch, which means you get positive signals from your brain and nervous system to the rest of your body for your cells to open, to grow, to do the job they're supposed to do, to participate with other cells, to reproduce, all of the above, all right? If it gets a gray, things are okay, then your hypothalamus probably just leaves the switch where it is. If it's on good, it may leave it on good. If it's on bad, it'll tend to bump it up to neutral, okay? But if it's a red memory that says we're not okay, it's not safe, it sends that danger signal to the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus flips on your failure response, okay? Which means you're dumbed down, energy drained, you're either sick or on the way to sick, and that is the only way, according to Dr. Bruce Lipton from Stanford Medical School, you can get a disease. It's the only way. Is a cell under stress for long enough that a disease gene that never would have manifested any other way manifests. And now, in the non-physical, you've got depression, anxiety, bipolar, something like that, all right? But if it's a red memory, your hypothalamus flips on the failure switch, which is fight or flight, or what we commonly call stress, which means your pituitary starts producing negative hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, dopamine, etc. Negative if you're not in a life-threatening emergency. Those are good if you're in a life-threatening emergency, which is the only time that's supposed to happen. All right? The problem is that's supposed to happen, fight or flight, a real life-threatening emergency, once or twice a year. The latest research says that for the average person, it's happening 5 to 15 times a day. We're living there. So that totally explains why, even though we're living longer, we're getting sicker and sicker. More surgeries, more medications, more diagnosis, more hospital stays. Bankruptcies, medical expense is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in the United States. I believe responsible for 62 to 64% of all bankruptcies. All right? So, and then based on whichever one of these is activated, good, neutral, or bad, then you react or respond. What you want to do is respond. And the difference in reacting and responding, reaction is this happens and oh, I'm mad, or oh, I've got to do this immediately, or whatever. And if it's life-threatening, maybe you do need to do something immediately, but not typically. Response is very different. Response is, okay, I could do this, or I could do this. Let's take a look at the facts. What are all the details and ramifications of this? What are all the details and ramifications of this? Let me think about it, pray about it a little, meditate, talk to some people, Google, and then I make a decision.